Alright, welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time I don't post anything here. But, I just figured I would just grab my camera and explain the process that I've been going through. I would just, want to touch on the process that I've been going through from 0K a month as a high ticket closer, like, didn't know what to do, lost in college, all that jazz, right? To get into a point where I was hitting my goals of getting to 10K a month, not only that, but getting to 18K a month as a high ticket closer. Okay, so it's a lot of pieces that I want to touch on. I don't only want to talk about the process that I've been going through, but also what not to do to revert to where you were before, right? Because it's not only that I've been going through, the process of getting from 0 to 18K a month, and by the way, that's Canadian, which is about 12, 13, 13K in USD, and what not to do to revert that to the point where right now I've been making less money because I've been fucking up some things in my life. So, I was just open up about that case and how it's been going on, basically. So the first thing that I want to touch on is, the high ticket closing, it's a very competitive industry, right? And what I've realized over the past 13, 14, 16, 15 months that I've been in the industry of closing and stuff, is not that easy, right? Especially at the beginning. I was lucky that my first goal ever, I think it was my first two goals ever, I closed the two of them. I started having that good rhythm of closing deals, and initially I started very good, and then obviously you keep improving, but I was already being profitable since day one, right? But what I've realized is that a lot of people think that high ticket closing is you get there and you get rich fast because you talk to people and people are, sold already on your offer. Sure, if you're selling for somebody like, or mostly, or somebody that has a big brand and just have to jump there, but still people are going to have objections. People are going to have difficulties going through the process of explaining their problems to you, a random, on the internet, right? On a Zoom call. So that's the first thing I want to touch on, which is it's not that easy to get started. Once you get your foot in the door, you get your first deals, you get that momentum, and you don't lose that momentum. It's very easy, not easy, but it's very simple to keep going as long as you put it in the work, right? And putting in the work in the right things. Because a lot of people will put the work on, obviously doing the pitch and doing that, but discovery, objection handling, right? Those are the main things, the main meat and potatoes that you should practice if you're new to closing, right? Communication, how to communicate properly, right? And maybe this example is not the best because I'm, rambling here and just yapping a little bit about everything. But that's the first thing I want to touch on. Now, the process that I've been going through, right? I was just sitting down yesterday because this is what happened, okay? I got to 18K a month as a high ticket closer. I got comfortable a little bit. I was like, oh, I'm the king, I'm the man. I can buy now 100 houses and invest in real estate. I don't need to do anything else every single month. I'm going to be doing this and get into the next level, right? So I was sitting down yesterday because what happened over the past 3 months is that I got to that point of 18K a month, then I got to 10K a month again, well, like 9K, and then I went back to 6, 7K a month. So I literally lose like 2/3 of my income because I've been fucking around so many things outside of sales, right? So what happened yesterday is like, okay, I had this happen over the past 2, 3 months, right? All of this of getting to 18 and then going and reverting back to the position that I was in initially, which was 6, 7K a month, right? And I was like, what happened? Why did I get to 18K a month in the first place, right? And when you're looking at this, you're trying to get to the actions and the behaviors that you were doing, not only on that month, but also the 2 months before, right? So I literally went to my Google Calendar yesterday and I was like, okay, what was I doing in September, in October, that got me to a point where I was making this type of money, right? First of all, is the offer to rate. The appointment to offer rate, right? What happened is that month and those 2 months that I was going through the trenches, basically, my call to offer rate, my appointment to offer rate was about 80%, 85%, I believe, something like that, right? I don't have the numbers exactly right now in my mind, but it was something like that. And then I went back and I started offering like 60%, 70%. So obviously, the more offers you make, obviously, the more deals that you probably will get, right? Because maybe you have some follow-ups and maybe some people come back, and that's what actually happened. Like a lot of people that I signed during that month was from follow-ups and was from like keeping them on the loop, keeping them on the pipeline, right? That's the first thing, okay? And that's the most obvious one when you look at that. Second of all is I was here in the south of Spain. Instead of being in my home in Barcelona with all my family, I literally came here for like 2-3 months of the year and I just went all in. I didn't have no girlfriend or no contact with any girls whatsoever. I didn't have any contact with television, no Netflix, all of that crap, okay? I literally just focused the 12 hours, the 13 hours that I had every single day on sales, on how to get better at sales, doing role plays, doing objection handling, learning about belief systems, learning about this, learning about that, learning about business, learning more about the offer, right? Going deeper into the offer with clients, right? We added an upsell, so I was also going through all of that process. And, I one of the things also I looked at the data is I had about 11 to 12 slots per day open in my calendar, right? Which, just so you can know, if you're new to closing and stuff, an average closer will have about 6, 7, 8, right? On a daily basis. I used to have 12, right? Because I'm selling leads that come from outbound, and obviously my skill level was not still, and still is not good. Like, it's good enough to get to a point where I can sell to people. But if you want to get to great, you want to get to 30K a month as a closer, 40K, 50K, 100K a month as a closer, right? You need to be very good, right? And it's not that I'm in a place where I can jump in 3 calls, 4 calls, I close 3 of them every single day, I get $1,000 in commission, and then I'm going home. Unfortunately, I had to go through the place of like, okay, I'm closing 20%. I'm gonna have as many calls as I can. I'm gonna put so much volume that it's unreasonable that I don't get results, right? And that's from Hormozy, right? I'm gonna do so much volume, so many calls. If I need to drink 4 coffees, 5 coffees a day, I would do it. And that's literally what I was going through during that period, during those 2-3 months, because I looked at the schedule and I looked, okay, what was I doing? Was I going to the gym in the morning? Was I going to the gym in the afternoon? So I was looking at all of this that doesn't have to do with sales, right? Of course, one of the things that also was on my calendar was that every single morning I would have role play objections, right? I will role play objections, also discovery. I will do like training, like actual training. And when I say training, I don't mean going to a portal and watching videos and that's it. Like, I was actually going through role plays. It's the way to get better. Repetition, 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 repetition. That's literally what got me better. And I remember doing that. So I was analyzing obviously what got me there. And when I got to that 18K a month, 12, 13K in USD, I stopped doing all of that. I was like, yeah, I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm good making 10K a month. And I stopped doing all of these behaviors, all of these actions, right? If you look at inputs, if you look at the behaviors that you were doing, I stopped doing all of those. I was not doing role plays anymore. I was not reviewing my calls anymore. I was slacking the gym. I was just like going one day here, one day there. Like, I was not being consistent, not only on the sales side of things, but also the time that I was going to sleep, right? I will have Instagram. Like, one thing that also, if you're a high ticket closer and you want to get very good and you're starting out, just delete everything. Delete social media, delete TikTok, delete everything you have that distracts you and that is not related to the goal of getting to, if for you it's 5K or 10K or 15 or 20K a month as a closer. Just delete all of that, because that's going to take so much mental bandwidth that it will fuck up your commissions. And that's what happened. I installed Instagram. I started doing bullshit again. I started going out for dinners and more expensive dinners and all that jazz. I got into a comfortable place of like, yeah, I'm doing good, right? And funny enough, when prospects were showing up to my goal, those were the type of prospects that I was getting. Was people that was like in 5, 10K a month, literally, and that will come to the call and they would tell me, I don't have any challenge. I'm doing good. Funny enough, right? Funny how that works. So I was going through all of this yesterday. I'm like, this is what's going on. I got comfortable. I stopped doing all of this, right? So literally yesterday, I had a no-show, and that's literally what I did. I designed my schedule the exact same way that I got it like 3-4 months ago. And I'm going back here to the south of Spain, so I'm by myself here. I have an apartment with my monitor, my laptop. That's all I need, right? I'm fasting. I'm doing exercise. That's all you need. And my focus right now is solely on getting better at sales and having a clear mission, which leads to my next thing that I want to touch on this video, which is having a mission, having that purpose, right? Because what happened to me is the fact I wanted to get to 10K a month because I wanted to get to a point where I could prove it to myself, because I wanted to get to that number so bad. Okay, I used to run an agency before, and that's the number, right? That's the number of the industry. You want to get to 10K a month, right? And I just wanted to get there to prove it to myself that I can become that person, that I can become that version of me that can do that type of money. Okay, and not only that, but more, which I'm happy, right? But right now, what happened is when you get to a point where you are making more than enough to survive, if you really think it like that, or more than enough than your previous job. For example, if you were making 3-4K a month, now you're making 12K a month. It's like, okay, cool, that's triple the money, right? Like, I'm doing okay. What happens then is that you get comfortable and you need to find another goal, right? And I kept saying that my goal was to get to 20K a month, but when I started analyzing, it's like, is that really my goal? Like, why did I want to get to 20K? And I didn't have a response for that. So that's what I'm working on right now, right? Which is going through the process of like, okay, I want to get back to that level of 18K, but not only that, getting to 20, getting to 25, getting to 30K a month. Why is that? Having a mission, having a clear mission about this is exactly what I want, and I want to get to 30K a month because this will allow me to do this, right? And being very open here with you guys, my goal is to get to a point where I don't have to work if I don't want to. Like, getting to a point where it's like, either I run a business or I keep doing this or whatever that is, right? But I do it because I actually just want. And like, if I want to wake up one day and go to the beach and just chill during that day because I don't have to work, I don't have to go to the office, that's my goal, right? So I want to get to a point where I'm making enough money so that I can create secondary sources of income, right? And then use that to sustain my life and survive with that, right? Getting to a point where I cover my expenses through that income. So I don't have to work, I don't have to worry. right? That's my goal. And I think having that clarity and having that goal is so important once you get to a point where you're making good enough money. So I think also part of the journey that I've been going through from 0 to 5 to 10 to 18K a month is the fact that I was going through bad energy. And when I say bad energy, I don't mean bad, because there's no such thing as good or bad. It's more about I was running through negative energy because I wanted to prove it to myself. I wanted to prove it to other people that I could get there, right? I remember I made a promise to one of my friends, and I said, by the end of the year in 2025, I will be at 10K a month. And I actually did it, right? So there's also like that, how do you call it? Like that external, in that society pressure, because I kind of like promised it to my friends, right? So I put myself into a place where it's like, I need to do this. Like, I cannot see them next year and be like, oh, you know what, I actually didn't hit my goal, right? So that was actually me. I was driven by negative energy, right? And I came out of a very good relationship with my ex-girlfriend as well, but it's like, I remember one of the main things that we struggled with at the end was the fact that I was working so much that I was not spending energy or even enough time with her, right? So obviously it got to a point where the relationship started, getting worse and worse and worse because of that. Because all my time was invested into getting good at this area of my life, which was sales and getting the money right? Getting to a point where I can say, fuck you money, right? So that was also a process that I was going through where it's like I literally left this girl that I used to love, and I still love. Like, obviously it's good relationship on that, but it's like I sacrificed all of that for nothing. Fuck no, right? So like I was just also driven through that energy of like I need to prove it to her as well that this is why I left. This is why, because I had this goal and I actually did it, right? So yeah, that's another thing, which is the driven energy, the negative energy that I was driven by, and also having a mission, right? So if you're watching this and you're somebody that is starting out from scratch right now in the coaching space, you're probably gonna have a mix of both. You're probably gonna have that negative energy of like I don't want to work a 9 to 5 or whatever that is for you, right? You're also gonna have a mission, right? But again, once you get to a point where you will be making maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever that number is for you, because it's different for every single person, you need to find that mission. You need to find that we need that as human beings, right? And it's something that you're gonna ask to your prospects and your goals. It's like, okay, let's say you sell a B2B offer, right? They want to make, let's say they want to get more appointments, they want to get more money. Why? Why is that? What's the motivation behind that? Oh, well, because I want to do this with my family, whatever, right? So human beings are driven by that. We need something to get to. We need a goal, right? And right now, I spend over the past 2 weeks. That's what I literally spend my weekends. Like my weekends has been just doing this, just like recording myself and explaining to myself, okay, why do I want to get there? Like, and deep into what's actually the driver for me right now. So yeah, I think that's it for the video. I think it's good enough for coming back from a few months that I didn't record anything, and I will be posting this type of videos for the next weeks, months. So I will try to post at least once every single week, especially on the weekend, which is where I have more time. Right now it's a Saturday, so I don't have any goals at this moment. I have one in about 3 hours. But yeah, that's it for me today. Hope that this served you, whether you're somebody new or somebody that is going through this right now or somebody that have been going through this. So yeah, and obviously the last thing I want to do is give a shout out to Josh Lyons, which is one of the mentors that I've been having over the past 3 months now, and he has allowed me to see this from a different perspective, right? Because it's a mastermind, it's very high level people, and we talked about all of these situations, right? And using sales as a way to transcend yourself, right? Like transcend yourself to the best version of you that you can have, and use sales to do that. So shout out to that, and hopefully this video served you. And if you liked it, obviously give a like, give a comment. If you want me to talk about anything specifically, also put it in the comments, so I will make a new video about that. Okay, so have a good one, and God bless. Bye bye.